Hey ghouls and gals, welcome back to my channel. My name is Taylor and today's video we are going to be reading two exciting July arcs. Both of these books are anticipated horror books. One of them is a horror thriller, the other a horrific dark academia novel. So let's just introduce them really quickly and get on with the vlog. The first book that I will be reading in this vlog is How to Survive a Horror Story by Mallory Arnold. This one is that thriller horror. This one is coming out at the beginning of the month on July 8th, and then the next one is The Library at Hellebore by Cassandra Khaw. This one comes out toward the latter half of the month. It's the dark academia and it comes out July 22nd. So we are going to kick this vlog off with How to Survive a Horror Story by Mallory Arnold. It is about a group of writers, and when legendary horror author Mortimer Queen passes, a group of writers find themselves invited to his last will and testament reading. They all go very curious what is going to happen. They arrive at this grand manor and they are invited to play a game with deadly consequences. So this one actually comes out from Poisoned Pen Press is the publisher, and Poisoned Pen Press was the publisher of one of my favorite books of this year. So I'm pretty excited to dive into this thriller horror book. So I'm gonna go get to reading and I will check back in later with a reading update. So I am now about 40% of the way through How to Survive a Horror Story, and I'm having a decent time with it so far. We are following 7 different authors, and they all receive an invitation to go to the late great Mortimer Queen's estate. Mortimer Queen was the king of horror, and he was considered the best known horror author, very famous. He has just recently died, and the will needs to be read. So 7 invitations go out to these 7 authors, and they all come to his mansion expecting to hear a will being read out, and they all wonder what he could have bequeathed to them. Some of them were close to him, some of them not so much. Instead of getting a traditional inheritance, however, a game is introduced to these 7 authors. So now they have to, instead of getting something like items or monetary value from his estate, they actually have to spend the night in Mortimer Queen's house, and they have to solve a series of riddles to make their way through the house if they want to survive the night. So this one feels like very cozy mystery sort of way, like very much a cozy horror, and I can't really explain it, except in a lot of ways it kind of feels like it's written like a middle grade. This is an adult book, it's not written for a middle grade audience, but just some of the conventions make it feel very light and very playful, even though we are dealing with a game with very deadly consequences. So I would almost compare this as like a mix of Clue and Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, and there's just something about, even down to the way the characters like are named in terms of naming conventions, feels very playful, very cozy mystery, especially when like you see the names of all of these characters all at once. Like this is a quote from Mortimer Queen's will, and it says, quote, "I give, devise, and bequeath unto Scott Clay, Buck Grimm, Winnie Roach," it's Roche, but it's written as Roach, "Crystal Flowers, Petey March, Chester Plumage, and Melanie Brown, a game." So all of those like character names, like they feel very Clue-ish, and like a lot of middle grade, like their names suggest a character type or a characterization, and at this point in time almost all of the characters are pretty insufferable. There is a reason for this, but like I mentioned before, it feels very Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, where we have a group of very unlikable characters going through a scenario, getting picked off one by one. Right now there is one character that feels more likable. There's a couple that feel more likable than other characters, and we kind of know that there probably will be one person left standing by the end of this book, just with the way this narrative is set up. Every single chapter so far, we are getting the point of view from a different character. So because of all of that head hopping and because the characters just feel like so one-dimensional and one note in some of their quirks and just character types, if you read this book, you will see it. They're all pretty common character archetypes, and I'd even argue they're all pretty common like writer character archetypes in fiction. So the character work, not my favorite, just because none of them feel very real at this point in time. They just all feel like characters, and of course they're not real. They are book characters, but they feel very one note at this point in time, and obviously a lot of them are probably going to remain one note as they get picked off one by one. This is definitely more about the setup of this game structure, and again, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory or Clue, where we have this mystery, a mystery of how to get past all of these puzzles, all of these clues, but also the mystery of why all of these people were invited to this estate to play this game in the first place. So this is definitely a very fast-paced and fun. It's definitely a lot of fun. It's a fun premise. How many times can I say fun in a row? But this does feel like a very paranormal mystery slash cozy horror. I don't think this one would keep you awake at night. It just has like a very fun, spooky atmosphere. So I'm gonna go get to reading, finish it up, and I will check back in later with a reading update. I may have to refilm this. We'll just have to see how the audio works out. I am outside, I am on vacation. It's very gloriously wilderness, like right around me. We're in a cabin, and if you can hear some crows, some birds, that's just the ambiance of the moment right now. However, I did finish How to Survive a Horror Story by Mallory Arnold, and for me, this was a really great vacation read. It was really fast-paced. I could read it in the car, put it down, come back to it later when I had free time, and I definitely would recommend this one to those mystery lovers, for people who love a cozy mystery, looking to get into a cozy horror. It was a fun and interesting setup, and definitely for like the plot forward people who are just wanting like a cozy, spooky time. I would have liked a little bit more characterization. Just some of the characters felt so one note to me, but it was a fun premise, and I will be putting the release date on the screen with me because I don't have access to that right now because I don't have the greatest service. But this does come out, I think, the first Tuesday of July. So if you're looking for cozy mystery, cozy horror for people who don't want to be like scared to go to bed at night, but just want something that's a bunch of authors coming together in like a Charlie and the Chocolate Factory or Clue-like situation, I think you could really like this one. So on with the rest of my vacation, I will be picking up The Library at Hellebore by Cassandra Khaw. Super excited for that one. So I am now 50% of the way through The Library at Hellebore by Cassandra Khaw. I am enjoying this one so far. It's definitely a very interesting read, and I find that I have a pretty similar experience with a lot of this author's work. They just tend to write very cosmic leaning, very gory, very bizarre stories. I know that Cassandra Khaw is usually either you love their writing or you hate their writing type of author. I really enjoy the concepts that they come up with and every single thing that they've written. Even if I haven't necessarily loved the overall ending of a book, I have really enjoyed the journey. I would say probably my least favorite thing by this author has been The Salt Grows Heavy, but even that one, there were so many scenes that still stick with me, and I think my favorite either has to be Nothing But Blackened Teeth or the book that they wrote with another author that I'm forgetting the name of, but The Dead Take the A Train. Like both of those, I just really appreciate what Cassandra Khaw is bringing to the horror community at the moment. I just think they have such interesting ideas, and not just ideas, but the execution behind them, because this one is a dark academia horror, and the blurb for this one says, "It's perfect for fans of a deadly education and the Atlas Six who are hungry for something a little more diabolical." And that is absolutely right. This is a horror dark academia novel about a school that is not a school that you want to attend. Now, dark academia is very popular. I, for one, love a magical dark academia, and even a school that is not like a fun magical school. That has also been done before, so this is like something where you're going into maybe knowing the benchmarks of the subgenre, things that you might expect from a magical school book, even like a dark horror magical school book. But the way that this is like written and the way things are happening, what is happening at the school itself, even like the timeline and the way this story is told is so essentially Cassandra Khaw to me, and I think you're really gonna love it or hate it, but I'm really getting along with this one. I will say the thing that I think is going to be like the biggest detractor for people is that, again, like I mentioned before, I love a magical dark academia story. A lot of people go into that subgenre wanting to be immersed in a world and wanting to like this school a little bit. At least for me, like even something like Ninth House by Leigh Bardugo, even though there is peril, there are horrific things happening, you still kind of feel like you'd want to maybe go to Yale, maybe be a part of those societies, or even just like a part of that world. Like you're bought into the camaraderie and the societies and the different groups of people. Even if you wouldn't maybe choose to be in that situation, you could see yourself in that situation. This book is a book where nothing is appealing to you. You do not want to be at Hellebore. Hellebore is a school that is set up. It is a parallel universe to our own. It's our world where magic exists, and all of the antichrists of the world, or all the people who are supposed to usher in apocalypses or the Ragnaroks or anything like that, anyone with magical abilities that are deemed disastrous to the world get sent to Hellebore, and there they are supposed to get an education, learn how to harness their powers. But you do find out from both the synopsis and chapter 1 of this book, when it comes to graduation day, things are not as anyone could have expected, and all of the graduates now, for their last test of their school year, have to escape the teachers at the school or risk being devoured. This obviously makes for a great horror setup. This is the most horror forward dark academia book that I've read in quite some time. The cosmic sort of horror elements, the body horror elements, like I would not suggest that you eat while reading this one, have been very intense so far, very interesting. At no point do I want to dive into this world, do I want to visit Hellebore, but it is very fascinating, and I do think that just sometimes if you're looking for a dark academia, you want to be immersed in a world that you would want to be in. This book is absolutely not that, but it's doing some great, really creepy, really effective body horror kind of situations. So essentially for this one, we are following main character Alessa and a small group of her classmates that are trying to escape graduation and escape the school. They have barricaded themselves inside the library at Hellebore, and they only have a certain number of days to survive and try and figure out how to get out of the situation before they become devoured. So that is the basic premise of this book. I would say so far, just know going into this one, if you're squeamish about body horror, maybe this one is not like a great book for you to pick up. I would say try the first 2 chapters and you will know whether or not, number 1, the writing style is going to be for you, and number 2, if you can handle the level of horror, because there's a lot of it in here, and it's very creepy, it's very unsettling. I really like the way that we are getting information about Alessa and the other characters in this school, the ways in which magic manifests in them, and the different ways in which maybe they can use their powers against other people in the school or other things in this school to try and escape. So I am having a really great time with this so far. I will say it is a relief to me because I think this book is going to be the book for not one but two book boxes this summer, like special edition horror book boxes this summer. So I think I have more than one copy on its way to me, so I am really glad that I'm getting along with it well so far. Okay friends, so I have finished the library at Hellebore and I really enjoyed this one. It was definitely a very dark and very gory time. Lots of body horror in this one, kind of like cosmic-y, paranormal sort of vibes, and I really enjoyed my time with this. I will say, I know this is not going to be for everyone. I think if you are someone who loves dark academia as a subgenre, and that is the only reason you're picking this up, you may be disappointed at how like some of this goes about, because there are a lot of questions in this book about this library, this school, what is happening at this school, and a lot of world building that is left very intentionally vague and unanswerable at points. And I think if you're just going into it expecting like a traditional dark academia sort of vibe or ambiance, you're not necessarily going to get that here. But if you like horror and you're looking for something that does take place at a school and is very horrific, then I do think that you would enjoy this. Our main character is definitely not the most likable, but this is a situation, a scenario, a location where you do kind of have to have teeth on you to survive. So just the way that Alessa, our main character, acts, and even the way that she is relaying this story to us, sometimes feels a little bit whiplashy. We have, you know, the main story of her and a group of people trying to survive graduation, but then occasionally between chapters you will flash back so you can get more context for these different characters and the school itself. And there's a lot going on here mythologically that I think is really fascinating, and that I do wish there could have been some more exploration of, but not in a bad way. A lot of it is just like very intentionally discombobulating for you as well as the students at the Library of Hellebore. It is definitely a very large sandbox to play in without giving anything away about the end of this book. I feel like just with everything that is set up in a world that is like our own, but in a world in which magic is recognized and things like Ragnaroks and Antichrists can happen, then I think that's a really cool arena to get later stories from. Potentially, I don't think that will be the case. I thought of something very similar when I read The Salt Grows Heavy by this author, that there's just so much lore and mythology going on in the background of this story that is very fascinating, and I cannot wait to see what some of these special edition book boxes does with this story, because I think that there's such strong theming and imagery throughout this book. And this is one where I feel like the regular edition cover of this book is quite beautiful, so I'm interested to see what special editions would look like. So if that sounds like an interesting time to you, this one comes out July 22nd, so make sure to check it out if you're looking for something like very blood-soaked dark academia. But that is going to be it For this reading vlog, I would say out of these two books, I enjoyed them both. I enjoyed The Library at Hellebore a lot more, but I do think How to Survive a Horror Story has a lot more broad spread, broad wide appeal. So if you're interested in this one, cozy mystery, cozy horror, kind of a Clue setup, it did come out July 8th. So when you are watching this video, it has just come out. So make sure to check it out if, again, you like a speedy, fast-paced kind of whodunit sort of situation with some paranormal elements. And then, of course, if you are looking for a very bloody, dark academia horror ride, then The Library at Hellebore comes out July 22nd. Thank you all so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, please be sure to give it a thumbs up. Leave a comment down below. Let me know if you are going to pick either of these two books up. Stay safe, stay spooky, and I will see y'all in the next video. Bye!